Hi, this is Carrie Schell from On Point Quilter. In today's video, I will be showing you how to draft your own Victorian scroll. And this is a design that is great for sashings, but could also be used for a pantograph. I thought I would start the video with a snapshot of sort of the end full design. And this pattern is actually one developed by Southwind Designs called Victorian Table Runner. It's a gorgeous quilt and almost has a Moroccan look. I love the way the curves sort of flow in the table runner. When my customer brought me her quilt, I knew it needed custom quilting. And so the question was, what made sense that would work and would complement the actual quilt? And so I came up with basically two designs, one for the stars and one for the outer stars and borders. And for this video, I thought I would share with you how I drafted the sort of scroll-like element that was used in the quilt. And notice that I used it on the top here in the outer border, and then in the border again, and then in each of these sort of pointy corners. So this is a very versatile design, and I think one that will have lots of possibilities for your quilt. So to get started, I actually started in Word, and you can see here I have some parentheses, and I actually played with a number of parentheses with various fonts, and this one here is Bodoni MT, and I actually resized it to 250, so it was nice and big and I was able to work with it. And then all I did was use my stamping tool, which is available in all of the Microsoft applications, and I just drew a box around my parentheses and did a file save as, and I saved it in my Victorian Table Runner folder. So I'm going to go ahead and just select parentheses, and I'll just save that on top and select OK. So now I'm going to start in Art and Stitch to actually recreate that scroll work design. So I will start by doing a File, New, and for this I'm going to actually select a quilting design in the DXF format because I plan to use this on my long arm system, and I'll select OK. And then I will use the backdrop tool, and I'll navigate to where I have saved that parentheses, select the parentheses, and select OK. Now I do want to make some modifications to it. The first thing is I want it larger, so I'm going to bring the scale to 200%. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, and I'm going to lighten it. And I'll select Apply. Now, ironically, it seems to want to re-rotate every time I select that apply, so I'm just going to select the rotate again to get it to where I want it, and now I have my backdrop. Now I am going to just follow the curve here, and I'm just going to use the curve tool, and I'm only going to do half of the element. So I could follow either the inside or the outside, and it doesn't have to be exact at this point. In fact, this is enough. I can right click to accept it, and then I'm going to use the reshape tool, and I'm going to just make some adjustments by selecting the handles to follow the element. Okay, now for the swirl, I'm going to use one of the common shapes, and a lot of times you've got the rectangle. Click on the little drop-out box and go to the spiral on the end and click on that. And you have a choice of 4 different types of spiral/swirl. For this one, select the double swirl, select 1 revolution, and OK. and then you're going to drag a swirl to fill the space. And once you have done that, you're going to go ahead and rotate it 90 degrees, and I'm going to rotate it another 90 degrees. Actually, I'm going to also flip it top to bottom. I'm going to place it at the bottom of my parenthesis shape. So now I can use the reshape tool, and for this I'm going to want to use the bottom of my parenthesis and connect it up with the inner circle of my swirl. So I'm going to go ahead and move that in place, and I'm going to actually start with the swirl and go that direction because I want to start my project from the left and move to the right. I used the T key to connect up, and then I'm going to move this to snap in place, and I can either use the S key, as in Sally, on my keyboard, or I can click on the ruler, right click on the ruler, and make sure that snap to anchors is turned on, and so then it will snap in place. Once I've got that done, I'm going to select my shape. I'm going to hide the backdrop at this point, and now I'm going to do a Control-C, Control-V for a copy and paste, and I am going to do a mirror image, and I'm going to move it in place. And to make sure that these two are perfectly parallel, and it's important because when we want to connect these up for that longer segment, we don't want to have any jogs in that. So I'm going to select both of the segments here by just dragging a box around it, and then I'm going to the drop down that has the centering tool also has an align top, and I'm going to use that. So once I've done that, now I can select my first artwork shape, select the reshape tool, and I'm going to use the T key to tie the two together. And I can look at that, I can apply my stitches, and I can test my stitch out. And I am pleased with that. So now what I'm going to do is go back and look at filling in my spaces. And so I'm going to go and start another file here. And this one again will be a quilting DXF format. Select OK. And I'm going to bring in my customer's Victorian Table Runner. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off the grid. Now this came in really small. I know from my customer, from measuring my customer's quilt, that it measures 28.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in the width, and the height should be about the same. There's a little bit of variation, but not much. So I will click on Apply, and I'm going to lighten this again quite a bit, and I'm going to use the Select tool and then the Space tool. So and I think that's a little bit too light, so let me just darken that just a bit more. I think that's a little bit better. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my swirl design here, and I'm going to copy, and I'm going to paste it into my, my full quilt layout. Now there are a couple of places where I'm going to use this. One of them is right here, and I'm just going to zoom in, and actually truthfully that's not too bad. I'm going to bring down the size a bit, so I'm going to transform. I'm going to try 90%. I want to maintain the aspect ratio, and I think That's going to fill into that space very well. Now, if you need to make some other modifications, this would be the right time to do that. If so, bring it back to artwork and make your modifications there. And I just did that. So now I'm going to copy and paste it, and I'm going to see if it fits there, and I'm going to do another paste, and I'm going to see if it fits there. The other place that I am using this is in the borders. And so if I do a copy and paste, you can see that really that is too tall for the space. Now it's actually about the right distance across. So I can make some additional modifications. What I'm going to want to try to do is maybe select these three shapes and bring them down so that they fit in. Now if I don't like how far like those two are down, I'm going to zoom in on here. I can go ahead and do some adjustments to that. And again, because this is your design, you can create something that looks good for you. And so I really like the way that now comes together. So my other place that I'm putting it is I'm putting three of these together in one part of the border. So I'm going to zoom out again, and I'm going to select this and do another Control-C, Control-V, copy, paste. And for this one, I'm going to use the repeat the design, and I'm going to go three across, and I don't want to go down at all. And I've now repeated that. Now I do need to combine them, and to do that I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, and I'm going to use the reshape, and I'm just going to use the T key to tie them together. I might need to move something else out of the way before I can do that. So that works. I'm going to make sure my snap to anchors is on, and then move that back in place. And I'm going to then move that over, and I will do the same thing on this side here. So move it out of the plate, combine them, and move that back in place. Now when I zoom out, I can select this, and it's a little big. So I'm going to just bring it down by dragging the box, and I can decide if I want it in there or not, but I can make it fit by just making it smaller there. So one more zoom in, and I think that looks really good there. Thanks so much for watching. For additional tips and techniques, or to purchase quilting designs that complement the Victorian Table Runner, please visit my website at www.onpointquilter.com.